morning. First stop, Casey's. Second stop, Sanity.
Just what I needed, caffeine.
Our last but not least stop, the farm.
Let's just hope today is a perfect opposite of yesterday. We'll try and spray in the morning and plant in the afternoon, as long as the sun comes out on the planting side of the equation. I'm very confident that spraying's gonna work no problem. It's the planting I'm just not so sure about. So we'll get an answer on that pretty quickly. He's headed directly out of the way to the north to get a hot load. I'm heading about 40 miles to the west once I get this fueled up and, of course, let it warm up a little bit. I checked the oil while I was waiting. It's in good shape. About 100 gallons of diesel fuel in the tank. So we're ready to rock and roll.
The raise and lower for the hood must be on a separate circuit because it'll do it even without the battery shut off on, which is kind of surprising. It's not the fastest action in the world.
I've been keeping pretty diligent track of my fuel usage, both to pay for what I'm taking from the family fuel tank, that way I'm not taking something that's not mine, and so I can have some good financial parameters and productivity numbers to work with as we move forward. As it currently stands, I'm averaging about 0.15 gallons per acre on everything I've sprayed so far, and that includes road travel, which is actually pretty close to what I was predicting. I was a little bit lower than that. I was thinking 0.1, but the hard part to calculate is road travel, because a lot of times that's where you waste fuel on your productivity. You aren't wasting fuel because you need to get to the field. It's just hard to account for. Curious, those of you who are running sprayers, what kind of fuel efficiency you're getting at the end of the day. Drop me a comment below.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got a fairly long drive ahead of us. We are empty, so we're gonna be traveling max speed, 34 plus mile an hour. That'll make quick work out of this, but it'll be every bit of an hour. Hang on tight, we're headed west.
I want to take a very quick moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Discount Lots. For those of you who don't know, Discount Lots is a simple, streamlined, and cost-effective way for individuals located within the United States to get started on purchasing their dream property. Let me walk you through just how easy it is. You go to discountlots.com, where you can easily navigate through their vast selection of land. Many of these properties aren't even available on the open market. You sift through the offerings to locate the ones that you like based on price and location. Lastly, you hit buy now. Individuals also have the option to make use of financing through Discount Lots, which simplifies the process even more. Did I mention that there are no extra fees or credit checks? Yeah, it's that straightforward. The best part is that the Discount Lots team handles every step in the process, eliminating any unnecessary fees and simplifying the process from A to Z. Discount Lots also offers easy payment plans. You can get started on purchasing your dream property for as little as $200 per month. Also, there are no credit checks in the process. If you're interested in checking out what they have to offer, I highly recommend you go over to discountlots.com and see what their land inventory is currently. If you find a property that you can't live without on there, use code DLTrippy10 at checkout for 10% off of your purchase. Thanks again to Discount Lots for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the action.
Okay, we've already had the sprayer fired up. We've covered 70 acres. I just ran out because I didn't top it off all the way when I started. It's going extremely well here on the west side of Tower Hill, east side of Pana, western Shelby County. Spraying Zidua SC at 3 1/4 ounces. And then on top of that, we're adding in a quart of that Res Plus microbial adjuvant almost. I talked about that before. It enhances the biological activity in the soil to help break down plant residue and other material in the ground and make it available for the upcoming crop. Nice and full. That's either 1150 if you go by the bottom or just shy of 1200 if you go by the top of the market. I still haven't figured out which one's the right one to read. The scary part is that Nate and I actually look like legitimate operators right now. He was parked exactly where I needed to be when I ran out, exactly on the next pass. Sometimes it's not about actually knowing what you're doing, you just gotta get lucky. Honestly, these farms over in the Tower Hill, Payne area are not bad to farm at all. This north one's 120 acres. There's one power pull out on it, which isn't that big of a task to overcome. The drive is less than ideal, and I feel like every time I make the trip, regardless of how fast I can do it, I lose a few years off of my life. Route 16's pretty busy, but I'm sure you can tell from the time lapse getting over here. For every bit as fast as I'm going to get this north field done, probably take me longer to do the south 80 because there's power lines crisscrossed against there, and that's definitely a place where you'll see how much of a rookie I am behind the wheel of the sprayer. These fields over here are the ones we checked at the beginning of the previous episode. Like I said, it has been field cultivated. We have a nice level seed bed, a little bit of moisture sitting on top still. If the sun breaks through the clouds like they're calling for within the next hour or so, probably going to go ahead and rally the troops, get the seed tender full. By the time we get this sprayed, get everything moved home, and then moved back over here, it may actually be in great shape to plant other than a few odd spots here and there. As I like to say, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so if 99.95% of the field is going to plant in good conditions, we're going to go ahead and put the hammer down, especially because they're calling for another ½ inch of rain tomorrow afternoon, and there's going to be warm weather in the future after that. So pretty good recipe for putting seeds in the ground. Temperatures right now are not ideal, though I'm not really that concerned because it's the long-term prospects that we really care about. Just shy of 120 acres applied already by 8:30 this morning. My average, if you can see on that top screen, 15.04 gallons an acre. That is the most accurate I've been, or the closest I've been to my target metric all season. I mean, literally, that's the best job I've done. I base my application quality by how close I am to the 15-gallon acre even target, and we aren't even a percent. That may be 1/3%, if that. Of course, our boom's not wanting to fold. That's an everyday battle. That's okay, nothing a big old crescent wrench and some curse words can't fix. It's definitely an every fold thing almost. Oh, I didn't fix it that time. I'm gonna go curse at it some more, hold on. Well, after wasting about 20 minutes messing with those adjustments, it never folded up, and I had enough of waiting, so I may or may not have just crossed Route 16 with no traffic coming, with the boom unfolded, hypothetically speaking. I mean, it may not be legal, and if so, I would never do that. It's amazing because it won't fold up on one side and the other side won't unfold. I don't know. There, you do that. Nope. And there goes the nozzle body. Gosh. Okay, we're unfolded. I better go fix the nozzle body I just broke, because that's what happens when you slam the boom like that. It's pretty easy to tell you broke something when one of your nozzles goes flying off right in front of you. At least I know what I'm doing now. Obviously not with the boom, but with the actual nozzle bodies, I figured this out. After I get this together, I'm gonna start spraying around the outside, and I'm gonna call the Hagee mechanic at Alliance Tractor and just tell him what's going on. He's the one who suggested adjusting those hooks on the end. Obviously that's not working, and my other boom's not even really wanting to unfold, so there may be something larger at play here. Either way, I'm gonna finish this field, and if it doesn't fold up, I'm just gonna leave this and ride home with the tanker. I'll just say in advance before I spray around the power lines of doom and pain and suffering that I'm glad this isn't planted yet, because I feel worse about trampling the ground if there's seed underneath me. If I haven't planted yet, I am of the belief that the planter is almost like a tillage pass in and of itself, so any extra compaction I probably do with the sprayer, I think the planter will bust through and leave a nice seed bed on top, or at least that's my hope. These power lines are not going to be pretty. I sprayed 15 acres. I made about
about halfway around the south end. I'm not empty yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and top off. The south 80 should spray a little heavy because those power poles are gonna really give me a test, I think, and I will over apply. I'm gonna go ahead and put every bit of 85 acres worth on. I guess I can't fit that much. 65 to 70 acres on, probably 70. I want to be as light as possible when I go home. I was going to send the truck, but I may have them wait, because if I can't get the boom to fold up, I'm not going down Route 16 for 40 miles with a boom hanging out. I'm just going to park this and then go get the planter, because the sun's shining, the neighbors are working dirt and planting all around, and you know what? If everyone else is going to do it, so am I. Okay, we've got plenty in the tank, should finish the field, but also leave us with a low enough transport weight to run full speed on the highway, 34 mile an hour. The sprayer can tell if it's got a substantial amount of liquid because it limits the top speed. The heavier it is, the slower it'll go. If you're fully loaded, you'll be down to like 20 mile an hour, and I think the next step up might be 24, 28. You get the point. I want to be able to go full speed, but it's not going to matter if I can't get the boom to fold. I should have an answer by the end of the field. If not, tanker driver's just gonna give me a ride home and we're gonna get the planter. The Hagee mechanic from Alliance Tractor just returned my call. He walked through a couple things, verified that it's probably not something that's a super simple fix, at least not for an amateur like myself. He actually lives in Shelbyville, which is just about 5 miles to the east of here, and then Matt Toon's another 20 miles to the east of that. Basically, it's a perfect recipe for him to either come look at this sprayer this afternoon and then go home, or look at it first thing in the morning. It's kind of like a two birds with one stone type deal, as opposed to him just coming over midday, especially because I don't need to get anything else sprayed today other than this. Try not to be the center of the universe and be flexible with other people if possible, because I know that, you know, obviously everything doesn't revolve around us all the time. Now, if I was in a pinch, I may have asked him to come, but we're ahead of schedule, we're doing well. Not everything we need to spray is dry, so might as well let him come when he wants to. Although if I snap a boom off on one of these power poles, I may be calling him again and requesting him urgently. The way I see it, there is going to come a time or day when you do need urgent service, and I don't see any reason to waste the urgency that is required in those times on a time where it's not necessary. Obviously, I'd like to get it fixed and get it home. It won't hurt to let it sit over here until tomorrow morning. I'll probably not be able to spray anymore until then anyways. Okay, the long line of poles has officially been sprayed around. As I mentioned earlier, I'm glad that I'm planting after that because I cut a lot of tracks around, not ruts because the ground isn't necessarily soft, but just cutting around those, you know, leaves some big tire marks. There's definitely less paint on the booms than there was when I started, though none of them fell off, so I'll consider that a victory. I myself could probably use an adult beverage along with some cigarettes. Not that I drink or smoke, but it seems like a good time for some. Okay, last pass, plenty of liquid in the tank, time to play boom roulette. If it folds, we're taking it home. If it doesn't, we're parking it here. Place your bets now, exhibitors. Nope, time for a service call. I try not to be prideful in my work. I know 15.73 gallons an acre is over or right at 5% above my target rate, but when you look at this application map here, really not that bad of work. It's this area right here that hurt my average the most. The farm I sprayed first was the best I've ever done, and this is probably close to the worst one I've ever done. There's always a yin and yang. Time to head back east to get the planter. I have a historical tendency to be negative about things. I'm trying to be more positive. It's not the end of the world that it's not wanting to fold up. I'm gonna go get the planter. I've got this out of the way. Once I get over here, which by the time I get to the south farm, it'll be every bit of 5 hours from now, I'll move it out of the way if it isn't fixed. Getting chauffeured home in the tanker. Not exactly a Rolls Royce, but it's close. Much closer to home now. A lot of planters run over this way. That's a good sign. Okay, Nate got us back home safe and sound. There were only a couple of times I was worried that wasn't gonna happen. I'm trying to pace myself because I feel like if I let the sun shine for another couple of hours, beyond the additional time it's going to take me to travel over there, that ground is going to be perfect. I don't want to get in there too soon because it was a little damp on top. I want to make sure those trenches are closing behind us. I think by the time I get some seed on the tender, get the planter out and fuel it up, get over there, which should be every bit of 3 hours, we should be good to go. I feel like it's been ages since I filled the seed tender up myself.
Been so busy.
Already lost the vest and sweatshirt because it's warming up pretty nicely outside. Ran inside, grabbed a snack for lunch, and also used the bathroom. Time to load up some Beck's beans. Other than a box of 3.5 Beck's beans, 35, 55 XFs that are going to a very swampy field right next to the city of Mattoon that's still a little bit wet, all we have left are these 3.9s, which will be going over at Tower Hill, or Pana. Some of you get bothered by me still calling that farm Tower Hill. It's kind of in the middle, so I think it's up for debate. These are all going to be Beck's 3997 Extend Flex beans. It is a 3.9 Extend Flex, like I said. We're going to load them up and hopefully get over there safe and sound. With a target population of 140,000 plants per acre, the farm I'm headed to calls for about 204, 205 units of Beck's beans. Keep in mind that a unit of Beck's beans is 130,000, not 140,000 like every other seed company. They just like to be difficult. I've got this pallet of loose bags. I'm gonna go ahead and put 11 in the front and the back. I've actually already done the front. On the back now. This may be the easiest way I've ever found to do this. It's so stress-free. Doing about 3 at a time. Come up here. Obviously the bags are not going to be reusable, but it's a lot easier than opening those silly, frustrating little strings. I get 3 in there. I've done 4, but it gets a little messy at 4. If you start from off, it takes about 4 or 5 seconds for it even to get up to the top. I'm going too shy on the units because I'm hoping that my tanks are pretty empty by the end. I'll bring a couple extra of these loose bags. If I run out, I'll just throw it back in and keep planting. The goal is to be pretty much empty when I'm done. Okay, that's 4 right there. See, we're kind of overloading it. I don't know if that's hard on the conveyor or not. Watch it pop back up when I start at the spring. Okay. Did I say 10? If I did, I meant to say 11. Doing 22 bags and 4 Pro boxes. 4 Pro boxes is 180, 22 bags puts me at 202. Too shy. Simple math. My dad showed up at the end just in time to graciously point out that I did my math wrong. I didn't need 204 units, I needed 212. I don't know where my calculation went awry, but I should have put those beans in the conveyor like I was doing. Now I'm just gonna have to load them in the top once I get to it. Okay, fueled up, deffed up. Chris is gonna be headed over with seed in about 40 minutes or so. I'm gonna need that much of a head start to beat him there. I forgot about the Row 23 downforce sensor. Dad's gonna run and get that real quick and then send it with Chris. Other than that, it's time to boogie, head west. Hope you enjoy time lapses because you're getting a second one. Oh, we're here. There goes another few years off my life. I'm shortening this span up pretty quickly. I may have also lost a few hairs on that one when I was going through downtown Shelbyville. The back rows on the DB60 are sticking out pretty far, and I can see them from my mirrors, and I had to have been within inches of just sideswiping a couple of cars that were parked on the side. It's just hard getting through those urban environments that have cars parked on the side of the road. It's only 3-lane. Guy was in the middle, nothing against him. He was trying to turn left, and I like to use the middle lane to kind of cheat my way away from the cars parked on the side. It was just not fun, but we made it, and I don't think I hit anyone. It may take a couple days for that one to catch up with me if I actually did. This field looks great. I'm glad we waited a little bit into the day to get over here. There's a lot of farmers around, working ground, planting every direction. One farmer to the south there has a Hagie that's broken down, probably waiting on a John Deere mechanic. I can only assume, not that I would know. We just have to play the waiting game and see how long it's going to take Chris to get over here. I may not have told him to leave early enough. He is bringing that downforce sensor, so after I get these Beck's 3997 XtendFlex beans in the tanks, I'm going to go ahead and fix that, put the ends on this field, and I'll check back in with you. I hate to run the risk of jinxing us in saying this, but this is going really well right now. Figured I'd hop out and give you guys a little bit of an update. A lot of loose soil on top, so it makes them look deeper than they are. Probably 1.5 inches in the ground. Field cultivator didn't leave the levelest seed bed. I don't know if that's just because it's light dirt. Jeff said when he worked it was in great shape, but the planter is almost like a second tillage pass. The ground is dried up tremendously, other than one spot in the northwest corner that I would not have planted, but I was already out here and it'll probably need a rain to come up. It's just a fraction of the farm, so not a big deal. Other than that though, a lot of people still rolling. Ground conditions are great. We're gonna keep the hammer down. Got every bit of 100 acres in the ground. Gonna go ahead and fill up. Should be able to fit the south farm on the tanks as well. You can tell we're pretty much done planting, or close to done planting, because we got the entire crew here for what is pretty much a one-man operation for loading the bean plant. Oh well, can't complain. Got the north 120 acres done. Time to cross the road and do the south field. Haggie's still parked out in the way, so I might need to get that moved at some point. You guys notice anything different about the Hagie? Maybe that it's folded up? Yep. The mechanic from Alliance Tractor stopped by this afternoon when he was done working back in the Mattoon area. He adjusted the eye bolts on there that I'd been playing around with, and he replaced some valves. So he said I should be good to go. When my dad stopped by to help load the planter, he offered to run the Hagie home if we could get it folded up. It wasn't folded up yet. And I thought, you know, Dad, you haven't driven a sprayer in a very long time, not to mention something big like this. I would probably start you on the back 40 where you can't run it into any cars, not on the super highway that is Route 16. That'd be like starting on the hardest difficulty possible. For the sake of everyone on the road, we start Marty on an easy course, not the expert difficulty one. My only worry is that things have a tendency to work when the mechanic shows up, and then once they leave, the item starts acting up again. I don't know if equipment is just sentient or what the deal is, but that's usually the way it goes for me. Every time I'd call the Hagie salesman, all my problems would fix themselves. Then when I'd hang up, they'd start again. I don't like leaving equipment this far away from home. it just doesn't logistically make sense to get this back tonight, especially because I'm going to prioritize the planter. I take the 6000 receiver off, but it's kind of hard to get to, so hopefully no one steals it over here in Tower Hill. I just learned something new this evening. The key to the ignition is not the same key that goes to the door, which is one of the most backwards things I've seen in recent memory. Strange design, but it is a Hagie. The hardest part of this field is behind us. We've made it past the crisscrossing power lines. We've only got a round and a half left. Finished up, had just the right amount of seed. Tank 2 had probably 3 bags in it, but I carried some over from the previous field before the first field today, so that probably explains that balance. Tank 1 was pretty much running dry. Did the math based on this field, and I was hitting right at 138,500 plants per acre. I was targeting 139, so hard to complain about that accuracy. Headed back east, and don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with a third time lapse, although it would be a perfect time for one. The planter did manage to accrue a little bit of dust over there. That's a good sign. Plant the dust, the bins will bust. That's what the old timers say. There's really not that much traffic right now for this highway. I'll take it. Just passing the Lake Shelbyville Dam, so the hardest part of this drive is over. The first 2/3 of the journey is a traffic issue. The last third, once I get onto the country roads that take me the rest of the way, is a road quality issue. And I think the road commissioner actually lives on these roads, which is usually backwards from the way it is. The road commissioner is supposed to have the nicest roads next to his farm. We're on the home stretch now. Mile to go. Boy, tires may be smoking right now because we did that in no time. Relatively speaking, it took a lot of time. Safe and sound. But we get to make the same trip tomorrow. That's exciting. Gotta go get the Hagie. Just imagine if I could have brought the Hagie back earlier today. That would have been 160 miles on the road. That's definitely a lot for a measly old farmer like myself. Some of you custom application cowboys out there would call that Monday morning. Definitely a lot of driving. Probably my least favorite part about farming. Anyways, I got one more field I need to get knocked out. Right in Mattoon is kind of on the wet side still, although it is very productive soil. It is also kind of like a swamp. There's some additional issues going on there beyond just that, but we can discuss that later. There is some rain moving in tomorrow, late afternoon, 5 or 6 o'clock. What I have left to do is so minimal that unless something goes wrong, like an asteroid hits us, we probably should be able to get it planted and sprayed with plenty of time to spare. I will have to go pick up the Hagie tomorrow, but that's an adventure for another episode. As always, everyone, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!